Well, this is the first song that I ever had recorded. I was trying to be a songwriter and sitting around writing songs in my bedroom night after night, and literally I wrote several hundred songs before I ever even showed one to someone else. And this is one of the ones I did show to someone else. A buddy of mine named Lobo Loggins, who was playing around here back in those days, heard this song and loved it. And at the time he had a writing deal and a recording deal with Step One Records, which is where Ray Price and Kitty Wells and Charlie McCoy and a lot of that older generation of country star had gone when they were not getting the mainstream airplay anymore. They were cutting records for Step One. It was a great label at the time for that kind of thing. And so I went to Nashville in 1989, and this song got demoed, got me a publishing deal, and later in 1989 it was a single for Ray Price. So everything happened really, really fast the first time around, and kind of got me hooked. I think if this hadn't happened, I might have not tried so hard for so many years. This is called Love Me Down to Size. Been to New York City in the springtime, spent summers down on San Francisco Bay. When winter brings the rain and snow, I'd hit the beach in Mexico and play the games that pretty people play. I never minded looking in the mirror. I always liked to be my own best friend. Then you took me by the hand and led me to your promised land, and now I never want to be alone again. You gave me everything I ever needed in my life. You closed the door and opened up my eyes. You answered all my questions about tomorrow and forever, when you laid me down and loved me down to size.
In 2003, Don teamed up with Jim Moose Brown to write It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, the Grammy Award-winning hit.
The title came up from a teacher that you worked with?
The guy that I first started teaching with when I was right out of college, his name was Jim Blacksher, and I was his assistant at Humble High School. And he was just a good old boy from East Texas, and liked to drink a beer. And we would lock up the band hall about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and on most days. And I would say before we left, I'd say, "Well, Jim, you want to grab a beer before you go home?" And he'd look at his watch and he'd say, "Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, sure." So he said that every day, and I guess it stuck in the back of my head and came out when it needed to. Pour me something tall and strong, make it a hurricane before I go insane. It's only 12:30, but I don't care. No, I don't care. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And I bet it's 5 o'clock on the King of the Road show all the time.
Since Don stopped by the King of the Road production studio all those years ago, he's been inducted into the Music Hall of Fame at the Museum of the Gulf Coast in Port Arthur, Texas.
I have some good friends in here. That's one reason I'm standing here in front.
Yeah, Becky Barksdale.
Becky and I graduated from Vidor in '79, and Becky graduated from TJ and Thomas Jefferson in '79. We were both members of the first all-region jazz band in this part of Texas. And she played guitar and I played saxophone. And we actually ended up sharing a house when we were both music majors at Lamar for a while. And you know, I'd be playing 5 nights a week in one band, she'd be playing 5 nights a week in another one, and we'd have half the professional musicians at Beaumont sitting in our living room at 3 in the morning jamming. It was a great way to live for a little while. Yeah.
She had a long run with Michael Jackson, didn't she?
She did the Dangerous tour, which was I think a two-year plus tour.
Yeah.
Europe and Asia, basically everywhere but North America.
Yeah.
The rest of the world. And it seems to be the criteria is, do you have the guts to get out of here and go to Nashville or LA or New York or wherever your talent can find its greatest success. So she replaced Jennifer Batten, who's still one of the prominent rock guitar players in LA. And then when Michael died, he was rehearsing for a new tour, and he had a female lead guitar player. That's just a thing that he was into. And there was a very vicious competitive audition, and she won it. And it was just a really cool thing.
All right, Becky Barksdale, you rule. Thank you, Don.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
King of the Road.
Here comes this week's Honky Tonk Texas Fabulous Flashback. Tommy Alverson, it's great to finally meet you because I've had that song in my head for so many years. Una más cerveza. Only in my case, it became dos cerveza and then dos equis.
Dos más dos equis. You can do anything you want to with it.
Because dos equis is my favorite beer.
Yeah, mine too.
It's Tommy Alverson. He's played with all the coolest people in Texas country. I think he even went to Nashville for a little stint for a while.
Not for long.
You had enough of
About
that?
2 days.
Pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, not for me.
Now, this is a great music scene down here in Southeast Texas especially, but all over the state of Texas. There's so many great players, and you've played with all of them. Willie Nelson, Ray Wiley Hubbard, Charlie Robinson.
Well, a bunch of them. You know, I've been real lucky. Like tonight, getting to play with Walton and Mr. Carroll's is it's just excellent.
King of the Road.
That was this week's Honky Tonk Texas Fabulous Flashback.
The Texas honky tonk. There's no place like home.
Since 2008, Honky Tonk Texas and Silsbee, Texas has featured a steady stream of the very best in local, regional, and national touring bands. Pack up your posse and boot scoot over to Honky Tonk Texas for great concerts, dancing, drinking, and dining. Of course, steak night is every Thursday, and don't forget about the Honky Tonk Grill. Visit them online at facebook.com/honkytonktx and at honkytonktexas.us. Honky Tonk Texas and Silsbee has been entertaining Southeast Texas since 2008. Where have you been?